Putin is dissatisfied with the pace of troop advancement at the front, although he says publicly that everything is going according to plan. This was reported by the TG channel of the Russian Federation, Kremlevskaya Snuffbox, citing a source in the Kremlin. He called Gerasimov, Chief of the General Staff, separately, and Belousov, Minister of Defense, separately. The task is as follows. By September the 1st, show a noticeable result of the advancement at the front. At a minimum, take Pokrovsk and encircle Sumy, says the public's source. The channel's interlocutor added that the reaction of Gerasimov and Belousov is not fully known. According to rumors, someone very influential in Putin's circle is selling him the idea of a new campaign against Kiev or Kharkov. Although almost all of the high-ranking military consider such ideas to be destructive and deadly, Ukrainian soldiers have been defending Pokrovsk in the Donetsk region for months, killing thousands of Russian soldiers. But now the enemy has gradually approached the city, and judging by geolocations, the first occupiers have even entered the settlement. Last year, the Ukrainian army managed to thwart Russian plans to capture the city. Although Pokrovsk itself is badly damaged and almost 60% of the city's population have left, Ukrainian resistance in Pokrovsk and its surroundings has thwarted Russian ambitions to capture the rest of Donetsk region, which is one of Putin's primary military goals. Although Pokrovsk's importance for Ukraine as a military supply center has already disappeared, the fall of the city could free up Russian troops and open the way for further Russian advances in the region. However, the supply of military equipment from Russian stockpiles decreased by more than 25% in 2024, which could mean a significant reduction in the number of tanks, armored vehicles, artillery systems, and other Soviet-style equipment that is available to the Russian military. According to the Foreign Intelligence Service of Ukraine, North Korea remains the main foreign supplier of ammunition to the Russian Federation. Putin's disagreements with the generals have become more apparent recently due to the Russian army's inability to fulfill its assigned tasks and the growing dissatisfaction of society with this situation. Retired Russian Colonel General Leonid Ivashov, for example, has long regarded Putin's full-scale invasion of Ukraine as a serious blunder that would harm Russia inside and out. Domestically, the general predicted it would weaken the economy and aggravate the demographic crisis. Outside, he warned it would lose friends for Russia and risk war with NATO, blaming Putin for risking the final destruction of Russian statehood and the extermination of the indigenous population of the country. Ivashov warned the real danger for Russia was not NATO or the West, but the unviability of the state model, the complete incapacity and lack of professionalism of the system of power and administration, the passivity and disorganization of society. Under these conditions, no country survives for long, he wrote.
SpaceX delivered a fresh crew to the International Space Station on Saturday, making the trip in a quick 15 hours. The 4 US, Russian and Japanese astronauts pulled up in their SpaceX capsule after launching from NASA's Kennedy Space Center. According to Associated Press, they will spend at least 6 months at the orbiting lab, swapping places with colleagues up there since March. SpaceX will bring those 4 back as early as Wednesday. Moving in are NASA's Zena Cardman and Mike Fink, Japan's Kamiya Yui and Russia's Oleg Platonov, each of whom had been originally assigned to other missions. "Hello, space station," Fink radioed as soon as the capsule docked high above the South Pacific. Cardman and another astronaut were pulled from a SpaceX flight last year to make room for NASA's 2 stuck astronauts, Boeing Starliner test pilots Butch Wilmore and Sumy Williams, whose space station stay went from 1 week to more than 9 months. Fink and Yui had been training for the next Starliner mission. But with Starliner grounded by thruster and other problems until 2026, the two switched to SpaceX. Platonov was bumped from the Soyuz launch lineup a couple of years ago because of an undisclosed illness. Their arrival temporarily puts the space station population at 11. It was such an unbelievably beautiful sight to see the space station come into our view for the first time, Cardman said once on board. While their taxi flight was speedy by US standards, the Russians hold the record for the fastest trip to the space station, a lightning-fast 3 hours.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody on the ground from the International Space Station. And Endeavour crew, welcome on board. Yokoso, Dobro Pazalbach. And we are so happy and excited to see your smiling faces. And Zina, Oleg, congratulations on your first space flight. We are looking forward to hearing your impressions and your feelings about that. And Mike and Kimia, welcome back.
This has been the absolute journey of a lifetime. We are so incredibly grateful to be here. Thank you so much for this warm welcome. It was such an unbelievably beautiful sight to see the space station come into our view for the first time, especially with these wonderful crewmates. Oleg and I, both for the first time, and of course Mike and Kimia-san have so much experience that they bring to this team. With deep gratitude to everyone who got us ready for this moment. Thank you so much.
We're happy to join you, and we will do our best to help the 73 crew who's on crew 10 to get home safely. Your friends and family are waiting for you. In the meantime, this is a beautiful space station, and it's so good to be back, and we're here to take good care of it and help do our very best.
I'm so grateful to be here. We have great crew, 11 crew members, and also this expedition members. Yeah, I'm very looking forward to working with them and make this expedition 73 the best. I'll work hard. Thank you.
I would like to say thank you very much for so warm meeting, and I believe and I hope we will have incredible and unbelievable time on board.
Thank you to all participants. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.
2 U.S. senators, 1 Democrat and 1 Republican, have introduced a bill proposing more than $50 billion in aid to Ukraine over the next 2 years. The Hill reported on this. The move comes as Russian President Vladimir Putin rejects calls from U.S. President Donald Trump to end the war of aggression. The bill was introduced by Senators Jean Shaheen and Lisa Murkowski. Their proposal includes $30 billion in direct military assistance through 2027, as well as $3 billion in foreign military financing over the next 2 fiscal years. Additionally, the bill expands the U.S. President's authority to reduce arms from $100 million to $6 billion annually for supplying weapons to Ukraine from Pentagon stockpiles. It is noted that a significant portion of the potential funds was also allocated to developing defense production within the United States. The bill aims to provide President Trump with additional tools to pressure Putin into negotiations by strengthening Ukraine's military capabilities to counter Russian attacks. The legislation includes $600 million to support Ukrainian law enforcement and anti-corruption programs, as well as $50 million for prosecuting war crimes. Among other provisions, the bill includes using profits from frozen Russian assets and the transfer of seized illegal weapons. Additionally, it proposes allocating $1 billion for a trilateral UAV initiative between the US, Ukraine, and Taiwan. This initiative involves joint research, development, and production of drones, as well as studying lessons from the Russian-Ukrainian war. This bipartisan bill is a win for America. It supports our defense industrial base, American manufacturers, and workers, all while U.S. military personnel learn from Ukrainian innovations on the battlefield, Shaheen said. The bill comes after the U.S. Senate Committee on Appropriations introduced a defense funding bill on Thursday that includes $800 million in military aid for Ukraine. The United States Senate has approved defense spending for 2026, which includes funding for military assistance to Ukraine. The draft budget provides for the allocation of $800 million for the Ukraine Security Initiative, $225 million for the Baltic Security Initiative, and $119 million for other projects related to European security. At the same time, it is worth noting that the relevant bill adopted by the House of Representatives did not contain provisions on financing Ukraine. However, an attempt to introduce an amendment that would completely prohibit the allocation of funds to support Ukraine was not supported. It has not yet been specified which programs for Ukraine the planned funding will be distributed to. It should be noted that the change in the U.S. government's position on Ukraine is also reflected in new approaches to priorities in the field of defense supplies. Another important step regarding Ukraine was taken by the U.S. Department of Defense. The department signed a huge $3.5 billion contract with Raytheon to produce medium-range AMRAAM air-to-air missiles. Under the contract, the missiles will be delivered to several countries, including Japan, Canada, Germany, the United Kingdom and Ukraine. The contract is reported to demonstrate the continued global demand for the combat-proven AMRAAM missile, a primary air superiority weapon for more than 30 years. According to press reports, the AMRAAM system is currently integrated with 14 platforms and is used in 44 countries around the world, demonstrating high effectiveness in air-to-air and surface-to-air operations. Its proven capabilities in active conflict zones increase its strategic importance to U.S. and allied defense forces.